I keep saying racism is a function of economics. I've been saying this for a long time. Racism is a function of economics. I'm starting to realize now more than ever, given some of the comments that I've been receiving privately and people saying, "Hey, Joe, you know what? Thanks for sharing this information, so forth and so on." I'm realizing that I've got to take maybe a different way of doing things. Not necessarily. Most people are saying, "Joe, you're being divisive. You're being divisive," and I didn't know calling out racism was being divisive. I didn't know that was divisive. I didn't know that was divisive. But I think what I'm going to do more of is engage with people who say that my calling out racism is divisive. Because if I go ahead and I engage with those people, there's a very good chance that I'll be able to find out why they feel my calling out racism is quote unquote divisive. Then maybe we can get to the root of the problem. And then maybe we could figure some shit out. And that is what unity looks like. There are plenty of people who I disagree with politically. I disagree with their politics. But I don't disagree with them as human beings and as people. And fundamentally, the people who I generally, the people who I disagree with politically, deep down are good human beings and good people. We just have a difference in politics. And fundamentally, what they want and what I want usually ends up being the same stuff. Same objectives. It's just they have a different way of going about it than I do. But fundamentally, we want the same stuff. Now, if you're just racist, then that's a different story. But if you have a certain political belief, I'm going to try to get away from just assuming that you are automatically racist because you have a certain political leaning. Because again, there's been, and I'm probably guilty of this at times, there's been this demonization of people who do not believe or share the same political viewpoint as you. That's wrong. That's not right. That's not right. And I think finding out why, finding out the differences is important, but also seeing where there is common ground is also important. And I think the more we try to figure out the common ground more than the differences, and we build consensus on the agreements, and we work to resolve our differences, I think that is how we're going to move this country forward. And that is what I did not hear yesterday from Joe Biden. I heard platitudes. I heard platitudes. I heard empty promises. To borrow a phrase from Arabic, I heard kalam fadi, which is a phrase that means empty talk. That is what I heard. I heard a whole lot of empty talk. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. You find people who you disagree with. You build some sort of consensus. You then figure out a way to mainstream that consensus. And then you execute that consensus with some sort of policy. I'm going to say that again because some people might be like, what? I'm going to say it again. The best way, in my opinion, to move this country forward, we as individuals find people that we disagree with. Or, better yet, find people we don't speak to, or outside of our bubble, or our social networks. Find people we don't even normally talk to. Find them. They're around, because there's plenty of disagreement around. Figure out what you agree on and what you don't agree with. And I'll be willing to bet you that, and again, what happened 2 weeks ago was crazy, but I'll be willing to bet you a whole bunch of those people who didn't storm the building, but that were just there because they were lied to 12 years ago when Obama said, hope, change, yes, we can. And then they voted for Trump because they didn't want more of Obama, and then Trump lied to them also. A lot of them were just like, you know what, who do I believe in? Who do I trust? Who do I turn to? And I guarantee you there's a whole lot of those people that were in that crowd, not the ones that necessarily stormed the building, but a whole lot of people in the crowd that have a whole lot in common with Black Lives Matter protesters. Because Black people in the United States have been lied to for over 400 years. Yep, we're going to go ahead and take care of you. Yep, 40 acres and a mule. Never happened. Yep, we're going to go ahead and make sure you get all the proper treatment. Tuskegee experiment. Yep, we're going to make sure you get the same legal rights and treatment as other people. Really? Okay. Then explain Jim Crow. Explain convict leasing. Explain redlining and blockbusting. We had to have an amendment to make sure that Black folks get equal protection under the law. It's 14th Amendment to the United States. Figure out what we all can agree on. Let's push the politics aside. And I'm going to say that closely, push the politics aside. Politics. Figure out what we all agree on. Make whatever that thing we all agree on popular. Hey, this group of libertarians wants healthcare. You know what? This group of conservative Republicans that voted for Trump, you know what? They're for Medicare for all too. Well, you know, hey, so are these progressives in the House and the Senate. And a bunch of these young people, they want Medicare for all too. So, you know, let's all push for it. Let's all fight for it. But too often politics gets in the way. Identity politics gets in the way. And the cult of political party clouds people's judgment. And then you execute that consensus or that widespread agreement with some sort of policy. And quite honestly, the mainstream ideas that people from the left and people from the right can agree on shouldn't have to be argued politically in the first place, because they should never be left issues or right issues. Because in many instances, the stuff that we're talking about are human rights issues. And human rights should not be dependent upon political party. Because when I was born almost 45 years ago, I didn't come out of my mother saying, "Yay, I'm an independent." I didn't say that. And there's a whole lot of people that came out of their mothers years ago that said, they didn't come out and say, "Yo, I'm a Republican, yippee." Mm-hmm. Came out as a human being first. And then you learned what political ideologies fit your beliefs. but no one is born understanding which political party they belong to. People are born as human beings. And the stuff that we are arguing about politically is stuff that should never be politicized. You shouldn't need legislation to prove that a group of people are actually human beings. You shouldn't need to legislate to determine if everybody should have health care, or if everybody should be able to have a labor union, or if everybody should have housing, or if everybody should have a job, or if every country should have appropriate social systems that take care of their people. These shouldn't be political issues. You should have them simply on the basis of being a human being. One more time. Find people you don't agree with, or find people you don't normally speak with. Figure out what you agree on, figure out what you don't agree on. Make the stuff that you agree on popular. And build consensus around what you both agree on. Execute what you agree on with policy. That is what unity looks like.